Can a sequel surpass the original? This is Stories, Arches, and Sequels. I am Ariana.
I'm Joy.
I'm Lydia.
Today's topic of the day is Coraline.
Coraline is a book written by Neil Gaiman, later adapted into a stop-motion movie. It was developed for his daughter, who wanted a scary book for children, but not overly childish. So somewhere in between the idea of It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and Stephen King.
One of the major differences between the two is the introduction of the character Wybie. The movie is much more whimsical than the book, and if Wybie were to be present in the novel would lose elements of its eerie atmosphere and in turn become less scary.
Well, we were talking to some people outside of classes and all that stuff about how this movie was developed and what they really wanted to see in a sequel. A lot of people said they wanted to see a prequel, like what happened to Wybie's grandma. Where did the doll come from? Who is the Bellum Witch?
Why do we have a talking cat?
Why do we have a talking cat? That is... I always wondered that, honestly.
Also, why does he hate mice so much? Cats and mice, what? It doesn't make sense.
Have you never seen Tom and Jerry?
Not in that dynamic, but if you think about, as an animal and a prey, cats usually prey on mice. You would think that they would like mice.
Yeah, but mice are nasty.
That's an opinion.
Rats are gross, apparently. I don't know. I've never eaten one. But Neil Gaiman also has written multiple times and has posted on his Twitter and so on and so forth. He will not be writing a sequel because if he were to write a sequel to the movie or the book, it would have to surpass the original. And you two have seen the movie, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think that they could ever make something better than that?
I don't think they can progress further from where the story has stopped or has ended.
Yeah, because at the ending, Coraline crushes the Bellum's hand with a rock, ties it up in her blanket with using the key and a rope that was attached to the key, and drops it down the well. My question is, where does that well lead? Because in the book, it said it led to a different world. Is that back to the Bellum's world?
It's unspecified.
It's unspecified. Yeah. Is it just a huge hole in the ground?
Does it lead to Alice in Wonderland?
Does it lead to China? That's something I want to know, but I like that it's not stated because that just gives me something to think about. On the other hand, a lot of the questions aren't answered, like the doll itself or Wybie's grandma. So I'm thinking today we write a prequel instead of a sequel to Coraline.
Yeah.
We definitely need a prequel. Let's answer these questions.
Yay! All right. I'm thinking the sequel is based on Wybie's grandma, so Mrs. Lovat. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Mrs. Lovat?
Yep.
She also doesn't have a first name that's ever specified.
No, she doesn't. I was researching that, and I'm like, why doesn't she have a first name? In the book, it's actually Mr. Lovat who owns the Pink Palace, not Mrs. So they changed that for the movie. And then I'm just watching the movie, and I'm like, where does she come from? Who is she?
Where is Mr. Lovat, if there is one?
It's Mr. Lovat. Who is her sister? Because they talk about her sister going missing. Did Mrs. Lovat know her sister went missing in that sort of way? Because it's theorized that her sister was the small child, like one of the small little girls with the pigtails instead of the big hat. So in the beginning of the movie, we see that the old doll comes through the window into the Bellum's hand, and the Bellum turns it into Coraline's doll and then puts it back out the window. Is that Wybie's grandma's sister? Because they were twins. Is that the sister? Is it her? Or is it both of them? That's my question. Is it supposed to represent both of them? Did they both go to the other world?
Quite possibly.
Honestly, I would think so. And she just kept it to herself because she didn't want anybody else getting hurt.
We have to assume that Miss Lovat got married at some point because she has a grandson, Wybie.
And she's Mrs. Lovat.
Yeah, so that means there must have been children in the Pink Palace at one point, her own son or daughter.
Or she moved out before that. She just kept the house in her name.
The question is, why did she keep the house?
That's another really good question. She wouldn't let children in that part of the Pink Palace. I don't think she ever let children until Coraline came along. And I think that has something to do with the beginning of the movie where she finds Coraline's doll. Because Wybie finds the doll. And it looks like Coraline. But I think that when Mrs. Lovat met Coraline's parents, and possibly Coraline, she was like, that's where that doll's from. They have to move in. I don't want Wybie getting hurt. So she let them move in with Coraline, even though no other children are allowed in there. Especially Wybie. So how are we going to write this? What should we start with? I think we should start with names.
Maybe Jade would work for Mrs. Lovat's first name.
All right, so J. Lovat is the one child that lives. Dun, dun, dun.
And then I think the sister's name was Tassia.
Tassia? Is it mentioned? I don't remember. I think they weren't named. I don't think the ghosts were named in either the book or the movie. I think they were just ghosts.
They were 3 ghosts just stuck in a mirror.
I think that was so creepy, especially in the book, because the illustrations in the book are so terrifying in the, like, eeriest but interesting way. So, if we call the sister Tassia and Mrs. Lovat Jade, does that work?
Yep.
We all good with that? All right.
Maybe it's just me or my imagination, but when I imagine the ghost in the mirror, I think of the fact that what if her sister wasn't actually real? What if she was just a figment of this other world, just like how the Bellum is like a figment or a form of her mother or imagined or desired mother?
That is actually a really good point, because the Beldam may have made those ghost children for the final game. That Coraline either has to stay or leave. They may just be gone. They may not even be there. But Coraline has to do something in order to escape the Beldam, because her parents are gone. So if they're a part of Coraline's imagination, are they part of Mrs. Lovat's or Jade's imagination?
It would have to be.
Did they see the ghosts? Did they see the ghosts before Tassia joined them? Because that's a really interesting plot point.
If the Bellum of the mother, she supposedly dies, but what if she didn't really die, but ended up going into the mirror just to start like another game for another child when they end up moving into the house again?
Because I think the house is like that one thing that stays in the Beldam's world. Like, she can make anything. She made that huge garden for Coraline. She made Bobinski's mouse circus,
which we need another one of.
And that's another interesting question. Would Bobinski be there? Would Bobinski be another child in the house? Would he have gone with them to the other world? Because he looks about the same age as Wybie's grandma.
Would Bobinski have played a similar role to Wybie with Miss Lovat or Jade in a prequel?
Would he? Oh, Sergei Alexander Bobinski. Sergei. His first name is Sergei. I knew he had a first name because she's going through his mail.
Mr. Bobinski.
Bobinski. So in the book he's called Mr. Bobo. And in the movie he's called Mr. B. If he were part of Jade and Tassia's expedition to the other world, would he play, like Lydia said, would he play a part as Wybie played in the movie? Would he be
A guide.
a background character that the other mother just made up? Or would he actually be there with them? Would he have gone into the other world with them?
Most likely a background character.
I think he would have played a very good point as like another YB sort of.
Right.
Like he's probably already a weird kid that plays with mice. Imagine that was his childhood dream, to make a mouse circus.
And he was training them
And he was
in the
training
other
them.
world as well. But like, you see like small snippets of him failing, succeeding, or them just running around him in circles.
That would be so cute.
I'm trying to
Like,
clock them.
Imagine Cassia and Jade are just like running around the house at some point, and they run outside, and their neighbor Sergei Bobinsky's just sitting there with a mouse on his lap. That would be adorable.
I just imagine them walking up to him and being like, "Oh, gross, rats, no!" Even though it's a mouse.
It's a mouse. It's not the rat.
But you know, kids are weird.
So I could see them walking up and like poking fun at him in the real world. And then when they get to the other mother's world, he's just sitting there with a mouse. And it's actually doing tricks. And they're like, whoa, that's epic. Like, that's cool. It's actually doing something. It's not just biting you. But he wouldn't have his imported cheese.
No, he would not.
He could have string cheese though, like be making do with like the snacks that his parents give him. Like
Maybe even
To the mice with your charcuterie board, mother.
maybe even the mice would serve as a like guide, just like the cat does to Miss Lovett.
Oh, that would be so... Wait, was the cat there? How old is the cat?
The cat seems pretty old.
It's not Wybie's cat. It's just a stray that Wybie hangs out with. Maybe the cat was there. We don't know how old the cat is. We don't know why the cat can talk in the other world. It could talk in the other world in the book as well. It was called The Cat.
did the cat come from the other world?
It could have, but the beldam doesn't like cats. Why doesn't she like cats? Maybe she made the cat, and the cat started eating her bugs. So she kicked the cat out. Maybe the cat is the guide for all the children that go. Maybe the cat is like the opposite of the beldam.
Yeah. Either that or it could be like the opposite of the doll. The doll sort of acts as a guide for the beldam. So the cat could act as a guide for the children.
Yes. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, the doll kind of just disappears halfway through the movie, and we don't know where it goes until it shows up as Coraline's parents, and she burns the doll. So that would be another reason there wouldn't be a sequel, is because the doll's dead. The doll's gone. The beldam reused the doll.
Yeah.
So the doll would be dead and gone and just no longer able to be used.
Also, in the beginning of the movie, like it shows the beldam changing the doll, it seems like she could only use that doll. Like, it doesn't seem like she could create a new doll.
She just turns it inside out.
Yeah.
And the doll that she used looked like one of the children, like one of the ghosts.
Yeah.
It had the little pigtails and the pink dress. And
So
that's what one of the ghosts looks like.
who originally created the doll, assuming it wasn't the beldam?
I think it would have to be the beldam. Like, who else would be able to make it?
Well, the beldam would have to make it. You're very right about that. Because if the beldam makes it, it's this otherworldly piece of puppetry that just lands into the other world. I mean, our world, let's say. And it seems to always appear around the Pink Palace, because that's where their connection point is. It's the well that we see outside. And the door.
I know Coraline was given the doll by Wybie. Who would have given the doll to Jade and Tasia? Would it have just appeared in the mail? Because that seems really creepy. And if my daughter found a doll in the mail, I ain't giving it to her. I'm taking that away.
Well, couldn't they have just been outside playing and then found the doll by the well?
Well,
That had so many, like, legends of it.
Oh, I like that.
also, if Bobinsky is playing a similar role to Wybie, he could give them the doll. He could be the one to find it.
Oh, like he's out in the woods looking for mice, and he finds the doll, and it's left on the front door, wrapped in paper, just like Coraline's was.
And he assumes it's theirs because it looks like them.
Yeah, like, hey, I found this in the woods, and it kind of looks like you guys. I don't know if it's yours, but here you go, and just leaves them at the front door.
I think you lost it. Yeah.
He's an amazing child. I really want to see this now.
I'm still posing the question, what would Mrs. Lovat's family dynamic be? Is it going to be exactly like Coraline's as well? Or would it be like...
No, because she has a sister.
She has a sister, yep.
So...
Who was the doll up? Miss Lovat's, for sure?
The doll was of... They were twins.
So they looked alike.
So they look alike. So it could have been for both of them.
So if both of them get sucked into the other world, they both have their consciousness.
Yeah.
They could go into the other world, and the story would probably progress to where they're fighting against the Bellum.
It would progress completely differently. Because I imagine that Tasia, like, Ms. Lovat's sister, Tasia is, like, having so much fun. She's awed by this world. She loves it. It's amazing. It's completely better than at home. And Jade's just sitting here like, this is terrifying. This isn't right. Nothing feels right. Like, I think they would have arguing dynamics with each other.
Yeah.
I do feel like there would be arguing dynamics, but I feel like they both still love this world since they come from the same place, the same background.
Well, yeah, but you're completely different people. It's like if you and I know each other really well and we go into this random room and you're like, wow, computers. And I'm like, I don't understand computers. This is kind of weird. Like, we go into a mall, and there's a huge bookstore, and you're like, wow, I love books. And I'm just sitting here, like, wow. Books. Where are the graphic novels? Like, we're all completely different people. The Beldam may be focusing on one at a time, and not being able to help both of their dynamics with each other, because let's say Jade loves books, she loves reading, she's always in a different world, and when she gets to this different world, it's not as exciting as she thought it would be.
Yeah.
And Tasia never reads. She's just told stories by Jade before bed. So they both get there, and Tasia's like, whoa, this is even better than I imagined when you were reading to me. And Jade's just like, it's not as good as my books. This isn't as interesting as I thought it would be. Like, I think that would make completely perfect sense.
Yeah.
I get your perspective. But what's going to be the ultimate daybreaker that makes Tasia stay? Like,
I think that they would be offered to stay, and the eyes would show up in front of them. And Jade is like, this was supposed to be a fantasy novel. This isn't horror. I don't want to read horror. I don't want to be here. So she leaves, and Tasia's like, I don't understand. I don't understand the difference between these two. If I sew those on my eyes, I will never be able to see this beautiful, wonderful world, but I'll be able to stay here forever. I'll be able to live with this wonderful mother. I'll be able to stay and be happy. Because Jade knows that she can just open another book and read another story, and she can be in a completely different world. Tasia doesn't read, she wouldn't know that. I just made this up. Why am I, like, so hell-bent on the fact that Jade reads?
Hey, she's literate. We like that. If she reads so much, I always just imagine that she would end up confiding in her sister, trying to convince her to come back into reality, though, which it leads me to my point of, like, if she was stuck in the mirror, she wanted Coraline, in the end, to leave the world, to not be stuck the same way the other kids who ended up being stuck there were. So wouldn't the sister, Tasia, have to know in the very end that...
Well, she would probably sew the buttons on her eye. Like, Jade would probably been thrown in the mirror with the other two ghosts and learned. And because Tasia isn't a bad girl, she doesn't defy the Beldam. She listens to her because she wants to have fun. Tasia's probably like, oh, buttons, okay. It may hurt a little bit, but okay. Like, I'll stay. And Jade learns, and she's trying to help. She's trying to pull Tasia back through the door, and Tasia's like, no. Why would I leave? This place is great. Like, if you were given all the Rihanna, if you were given all the electronics in the world that you could ever want or need, and you were like, oh my god, I could do anything I want with all of this information. I could learn how to use all of this. I could play all the games I want to. I could stay here forever. And then you play all the games you want to. You do all the stuff that you want to. And then suddenly you're bored. Tasia would have learned that in the end. She would have sewn the buttons on her eyes. She would have played games. And the Beldam would have probably gotten bored after a while because not enough games. And she probably would have gotten bored after a while because her sister's not there. Bobinski isn't the real Bobinski. He's just agreeing with her. He's a yes now. He's a yes, sir. And then she would have passed on because once the Beldam gets bored, why would the Beldam take care of her? Why would the Beldam make her food?
Yeah. I also have another idea tossing around in my head. Since they're twins, and let's assume they're identical twins because the doll represents both of them, what if there's a misunderstanding and the Beldam had no idea there's two of them? What if they entered separately? Kind of like in Narnia, Edmund and Lucy. Oh. And they both had very different experiences. And then they meet up and, like, Jade is trying to take Tasia back out. She's like, no, this is a bad place. And Tasia is like, no, this is wonderful.
Oh, I can just imagine. Jade is defying the Beldam and gets put in the mirror. The Beldam doesn't take her out. She escapes. Because Tasia finds her.
Yeah.
And Tasia's like, why are you here? You're not supposed to be here. This is my world. And Jade's like, no, this is scary. I don't like it. So Jade leaves and Tasia's like, my world.
Maybe, like, they've always shared a room and, like, Tasia is tired of sharing things with Jade.
That would make
And
so
so she's
sense.
like, I want this. I want you out of my world. I want this to myself.
This is my world. Not
and
yours.
Jade's like, no, we have to leave.
Oh, that would make so much sense. I have a friend who's a twin, and she absolutely hates sharing her room. She just got to college, and she has her own room. And then her roommate moved in a couple weeks after her, and she was like, this is fine. I'm fine. I won't be in here. So it makes perfect sense. Like, if they were there interchangeably. The Beldam doesn't know, so the Beldam keeps throwing stuff at them. Like, let's say Jade was there the first day. So the Beldam makes a huge library full of all the books she could ever read. You would like that. I know you would like that.
Yes.
But all the books she could ever read, and Jade's having so much fun. And suddenly Jade's like, I'm gonna go get Tasia so she can enjoy this world with me.
Mm-hmm.
So she leaves and can't find Tasia anywhere. And Tasia's in the other world, in a separate room. And the Beldam's with her now. And the Beldam's like, here's a book. And Tasia's like, I don't like books. So the Beldam gives her like a toy train or something. Tasia's like, whoa, this is epic. This is cool. It runs. It does all the stuff I want it to. And then she leaves to go get Jade and bring her with so that Jade can experience this. And then Jade comes through the door after Tasia's gone. And the Beldam's like, your train. Jade's like, I don't like that. Where's my library? I think that would be such an interesting dynamic to see them, like, trying to find each other to share this world. But they can't find each other. Because they're always in the other world. Doing something.
What if the Bellum is unable to differentiate both of them?
Yeah,
at
she
all?
would be so confused.
Yeah.
If they were never together.
And the thing is, with the doll doesn't know who is actually who. So whoever ends up signing or saying, "Oh, I want to stay," that's who the doll will be in the very end. And it can't be either. It can be either of them.
Yeah. And then I was just thinking, well, then would Miss Slovetta Jade never know what happened to her sister and never know what happened to the other Wald? She wouldn't know the creepy side of it.
Oh.
So when Coraline comes and the doll looks like her, Jade's like, oh, the wonderful Wald is back.
I don't think she would be like that because she tried to keep YB out of that house.
That is true.
She didn't want to give the doll. YB came back to give the doll back to his grandma. YB came back for the Coraline doll, and Coraline's, no, that thing's creepy. Come inside. And YB's like, I'm not allowed in this house.
Yeah, because her sister disappeared. So maybe the reason why she wants to open the other Wald is to get her sister back. She's begun to suspect that that's where sister is.
She may already know where her sister is, but she doesn't know why she can't go back to the world.
Yeah.
Why the door is now shut.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to write this out, I don't think I would write much of the parents into it.
No.
I think that it's, like, her mom's, like, a single mom.
Okay.
Their mom's, like, a single mom. The dad's either off working or not in the picture or something. And, well, when they were kids, there may have been a war going on as well. I do not remember specifics. But if their dad's not in the picture and it's just a single mom, that means the Beldam wouldn't have to make it many people other than herself and Bobinski.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't have to, like, narrate all of every single little detail. She would just have to play with the kids.
Yeah.
So every time one of the kids comes in, and they switch every time, she wouldn't be able to grasp what this kid likes.
No.
Because they're two completely different people. So she would be, like, so confused and, like, trying to follow what they like, and she wouldn't be able to do it. And finally, when she offers the eyes, I don't think she even offered them to Jade.
No. Yeah.
I think Jade just, like, mouthed off at her, and she was stuck in the mirror, and she found out about the buttons in the mirror.
Yeah.
And Tasia was actually offered the buttons. And Tasia's like, I don't see anything wrong with this. It's my world. Nobody else knows about this. I think that would be so interesting. I think they both know about the buttons in the end. I think they both know how the story's supposed to end. But I don't think they know that each other knows about the world until the very end.
Jade not knowing that her sister took the buttons would be revealed by her being in the real world and trying to go to the other world.
And the other
Again.
world, she opens the door and it's just like a little crawl space. It's not even
It's just
fan.
brick.
It wasn't bricked up until Coraline. Imagine it was just a crawl space. So she opens her crawl space to go to her other world. And it's just back to being a crawl space. And she's like, my world. Tasia. And she runs back to her room, and her sister's not there. She runs outside, and her sister's not there. She finds Bobinski, and her sister's not there. So she realized what happens, and she can't get her back.
Huh.
That would be so heartbreaking to watch. Oh, I'm just imagining this now.
But then who bricks the wall up?
She does.
Yeah.
When she realizes that her sister's gone and she gets the house to herself, like when her parents leave her the house, she becomes the landlord. She never rented out to anybody with children. She bricked the wall up so that nobody can get in. So that no child will be gone or missing ever again.
I just feel like if I was Jade in that moment, I'd be like, I wouldn't want to break it up because I want a passage for my sister to be able to come back.
It's a magical world, though.
It's a magical world, but like the entrance and exit were the same place, always.
Well, yes, the entrance and exit were one single place. But she knows what happened to the ghosts. The ghosts are gone. The ghosts they're dead. Those children are no longer alive. Those children have buttons for eyes. They ain't coming back. So imagine she knows what happened to those other kids. Tasia doesn't. So Tasia stays. And Jade's like, my sister's gone. I can't get her back. There's no way she could get her back. If that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense.
Okay. Like, there's no way to get her back. I don't want this happening to any other children. Because she knows the other two children.
I think, like, kind of the part where she finds the crawl space isn't a magical world would happen after she searches for her sister. I feel like...
I think she would open the crawl space
Because
to
once
go get Tasia after a fight or something. And Tasia's just gone. And the world is gone. And everything's gone.
But the one thing that isn't gone are the childhood books that she would read to her sister
Oh, that
every
would...
single day.
That would
And the
wrench-
messages that she probably wrote within the books.
Oh, that would wrench my heart out. Oh, dear God. Oh, this would hurt so bad to watch or read. Now I want this to be a book. All right, so let's put this in order of what would happen.
At the front door of the Pink Palace.
Look what Sergey found for us! And just waving the doll. And then Jade's just like, ew. That's creepy. Get that nasty thing away from me. So,
And then she intentionally pushes it onto Jade, grabs one of her books.
and starts reading the book out loud to herself, and Tasia's listening in. And then they both fall asleep. And Tasia wakes up in the middle of the night to go get some water or something. And little Tasia's out the door, like Coraline's doll was. So she gets up, she walks out the door, and it's not there. It's down the hall. So she follows it down the hall, and it's not at the end of the hallway. It's sitting in front of the door, the tiny door. She's like, why is this thing going to the crawl space? The crawl space is just full of boxes. That's not helpful. So she picks the doll up, but the crawl space door is open, and there's light coming from it. So she goes through to find she's back in her house. That's weird. She just walked into the crawl space. She's back in her own house, and she's looking around, and there's no differences. So she gets some water, and she's on her way back to bed when she hears her mom. And she's like, oh, crap, Mom's awake. I better go say goodnight or something because she's a sweet little child. So she runs to say goodnight, and her mom turns around with buttons for eyes. I think that would freak her out so bad.
She screams and yells. She tries to close her door shut and pretends it never happened.
And she goes to sleep and she wakes up.
But never in that dream did she see her sister.
No. She just climbed into bed and shut her eyes, hugging the doll. The next morning, their mom is out at work. Tasia decides to open the crawl space. It's there, glowing. So she crawls through again. Jade is probably reading her book at this point. Like, she's up and eating cereal because Tasia didn't want to get up. She was, like, passed out completely. So she's like, okay, I'll go get some cereal. I'll go eat some food and wait for Tasia to wake up. Then we can go play. She doesn't. Jade goes back in her room and starts reading, thinking Tasia's probably out playing. Jade's reading. Tasia is in the other world, exploring.
The Boonsi's mice end up walking up into her room, leading a path, dancing and prancing around. Tasia ends up following the mice to find Bobinsky, because he's probably one of the very few that wouldn't be like his mother in this world. Mm-hmm. Who else can you rely on? The mice are your direct path to someone who you know.
Yeah.
So she follows the mice and finds Bobinsky directing a
huge mouse circus instead of his just single mouse child sitting on his lap. He's got like 50 mice and they're all doing tricks, and she's just like hiding around the corner watching in awe, like behind a tree or something. She's just watching him in awe, and suddenly he turns around to like beckon her to join him, and his eyes are buttons. That probably freaks her out again. But I don't think she would run away from Sergei. She'd be like, that's Sergei. That's Sergei Bobinsky. He's not harmful. He's a mouse child.
Well, the buttons would probably look more natural on him, like, oh, it's just Sergei.
Yeah. Oh, it's just Sergei. He has dark eyes anyway. That's not scary. That night, Tasia goes back into her own world, like the real world. And she's telling Jade all about her adventures with Sergei. With, like, these 50 mice in this huge circus, and it was so cool. And Jade's just sitting there like, Sergei learned how to teach the mice to do stuff? What do you mean Sergei learned how to teach the mice? He never knows how to do that. He only has one mouse. Where did he find the other mice? So Tasia's like, yeah, you have the doll for tonight. Jade would, like, put the doll next to her on the bed. She wouldn't even hug it. And she'd go to sleep, and she'd wake up and follow the doll, just like Tasia did. Down the hall, to the door. She'd be like, yet again, same idea. Why is the crawl space glowing? That's weird. That's crazy. That's interesting. And just go into the crawl space. And she'd run into the other mother. And the other mother would be like, child, hi. She would even call them by name. She'd just call them child. But she learned to call them names when she realized they're two different people. Towards the end. And she's like, hi, child, how are you? And Jade's just sitting there like, oh my god, buttons. She's like, I'm your other mother, sweetie. I'm not your real mother. I'm here to have fun with you. And Jade's like, can I have books? Do you have stories? Can you tell me stories? She's like, of course, child. Of course I will do that. So they sit there and they read. And Jade ends up falling asleep. During the day, Tasia goes out into the world. And during the night, Jade does. So that Jade's reading with the other mother at night. Tasia's playing with Sergei and the other mother during the day. So they never interact. And because they never interact, when Jade goes off the rails like, I already read all these stories. Do you have any more stories? There's no more stories. And the other mother's like, why are you being so rude? Why are you angry at me? I did nothing. Jade's like, of course you did something. You're not my real mom. And the other mother got mad at Coraline for that. So she'd definitely get mad at Jade. She'd toss her in the mirror with the ghosts. And Jade learns about the buttons for eyes. She'd go back to the real world. She'll, running around looking for Tasia to tell her. And Tasia's like, yeah, she offered me buttons. Wait, you know her too? That's my world. You're not supposed to be in my world. That's mine. That's for me. Me only. I have to share a bed with you. I have to share a room with you. I am not sharing this with you. And she runs and storms off into the other world. Sews the buttons on her eyes. And in the morning, Jade's just like, okay, she needs some time to cool off. I'll go to bed, and in the morning she'll be there. And in the morning, she wakes up, she's not there. She runs around, asks Bobinski, where is he? Where is she? Where'd she go? He doesn't know. He hasn't seen her in days. The other Bobinski asks. She's like, no. So she runs and opens the crawl space. There's nothing there. It's just the crawl space. It's not glowing. There's no light. There's no hole. There's no other world. She realizes what happens. And time passes. She gets the house. She boards it up. She separates it into different apartments. And she boards the wall up. She bricks the wall up. Nobody else can go in there. She doesn't rent out to children. She doesn't rent out to any family with children until she wakes up one day and the doll looks like the child, a different child. It's no longer her sister. And then she meets Coraline's family who need a rent. They need a new house. She's like, no, it's a new child. My sister's truly gone. That would be so heart-wrenching. So, if you liked our stories, if you want to hear more about other stories that we can make sequels or prequels of, subscribe, comment, do whatever you need to. If you want us to send emails or something, we can do that. We can get everybody to listen to us ramble about random stories. I hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
This has been Stories, Ouches, and Sequels.
I'm Joy.
Ariana.
And Lydia.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.